So the long-standing rumors about Llama were completely wrong. Meta's flagship open-source model might actually be dead.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But something else entirely just woke up instead. We're stepping into a radically different era right now.
Yeah.
AI models don't just chat with you anymore.
Right. They actually pause to contemplate their next move, and sometimes they just work autonomously for 8 straight hours.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We're really glad you joined us today.
We have a massive, fascinating journey mapped out for you. We're unpacking Meta's huge pivot away from open source. They built a highly guarded closed-source personal assistant. It's officially called Muse Spark.
Then we're going to explore the very messy reality ahead. AI agents are currently operating out in the wild,
Yeah.
and the growing pains are honestly pretty terrifying.
Finally, we'll see how the open source community is striking back. They built an absolute endurance coding behemoth recently. It's a brand new model called GLM 5.1.
Let's start by looking closely at Meta's situation. Their current redemption arc is truly fascinating to watch.
Yeah, 2025 was incredibly rough for their AI division. Llama 4 Maverick was widely seen as a massive disappointment.
It was just a very middling release for them overall. They desperately needed a major win to stay relevant.
So they went out and spent an absolute fortune. They hired Alexander Wang away from Scale AI.
That was a huge, incredibly aggressive talent acquisition. And now they've returned to the arena with Muse Spark.
What's fascinating is that Muse Spark is entirely closed source. That's a massive fundamental shift in their corporate philosophy.
For years, Meta was the absolute darling of the OpenAI movement. Now they're suddenly closing all the doors and locking the gates.
They completely evolved how they approach problem solving. Instead of relying on just one massive digital brain, Meta is now heavily leaning on an orchestration layer.
Well, let me define that concept for you really quickly. It's a system managing multiple AI models working together. Think of it kind of like a corporate board of directors.
Right.
You don't just rely on one single CEO for everything. You have a researcher, an analyst, and a strategist collaborating.
Exactly. It's like stacking Lego blocks of data to build something stronger. Muse Spark features a brand new contemplating mode. It runs an entire squad of specialized AI agents. They run in parallel to solve incredibly complex problems. They can reason through dense scientific queries.
They easily tackle heavy legal queries, too.
Yeah.
The model recently scored a 52 on a major benchmark. That's on the Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index.
That score places it firmly in the global top 5. It sits right alongside heavyweights like GPT 5.4 and Gemini 3.1 Pro.
Meta also took the training data incredibly seriously this time. They didn't just scrape random information off the internet.
Yeah, they actually consulted over 1,000 practicing physicians. They carefully curated the medical training data to ensure ultimate accuracy.
The engineering team is claiming something genuinely incredible here. They say they've achieved Llama 4-level performance.
But they managed to use 10 times less compute power. Let's talk about why that matters for a second. It allows for incredibly fast inference speeds.
And it makes that inference much cheaper on mobile devices.
Mark Zuckerberg still hopes to open source future versions eventually. But right now, Meta is desperately looking for direct revenue.
They're staring at a $135 billion capital expenditure. They need to turn that massive investment into actual cash soon.
This is basically their big kid table moment. They're no longer satisfied just providing the underlying tools.
They aren't just helping other developers build cool apps anymore. They're trying to build the ultimate personal assistant themselves. Now, okay, I need to understand this better. Is this 10 times compute efficiency actually the real game changer here?
Absolutely. It means incredibly powerful models can run directly on edge devices. You don't need a giant server farm for every single query.
So less compute means powerful AI runs directly on your phone.
Right, and that completely rewires the hardware ecosystem.
That actually brings us right into our next major topic. Muse Spark uses that squad of parallel agents. This reflects a much broader shift happening across the tech industry. AI isn't just answering questions, it's taking real action now.
But the broader ecosystem is experiencing some severe growing pains. It's honestly getting incredibly messy and chaotic out there.
Yeah.
Let's look at some of the major risks first. Anthropic has a brand new safety testing model called Mythos. It's already exposed thousands of severe system vulnerabilities.
We aren't just talking about minor bugs here. We're talking about critical browser flaws and major operating system vulnerabilities that hackers could easily exploit.
Yeah, Anthropic actually had to launch something called Project Glasswing. This creates a quiet period for major tech companies.
It lets them prepare quietly before the flaws become public. They desperately need that time to patch these systems.
Then we have the everyday errors affecting normal people. Google's AI overviews look really fast and highly convenient, but a new industry study just came out recently.
It shows they give blatantly incorrect answers. They're failing about 10% of the time.
That's a dangerously high failure rate for an authoritative search engine. If you're trusting an AI agent with your daily tasks, a 10% failure rate means frequent, unpredictable disasters.
It's a harsh reminder that you always need to verify. A quick verification step saves you from massive trouble later.
We've also seen some really wild user hacks recently. Someone found a highly controversial trick for Anthropic systems.
It basically speeds up Claude's processing times significantly. The method went super viral across developer forums online.
People absolutely love getting those incredibly fast results, but the ethics discussion around this is getting really heated.
It's a very controversial workaround that bypasses normal safety checks. You're basically trading thoughtful safety guardrails for raw speed.
The Wild West of autonomous agents is officially here. A new tech startup called Poke just dropped a product.
They released a new AI agent for everyday consumers. It actually works directly inside your personal messaging apps.
It operates seamlessly inside Apple's iMessage. It works in standard SMS and Telegram too.
You could automate complex tasks just by sending a simple text. People are calling it an open claw model for everyone.
Right.
Well, wait, I have to push back on the excitement here.
Yeah.
Google is actively hallucinating 10% of the time.
Yeah.
Anthropic's own models are finding thousands of critical system vulnerabilities. Aren't hyper-accessible agents like Poke a massive security risk? Especially when we hand them over to the average user.
It's an undeniably massive risk for everyday consumers. We're giving these early-stage agents direct, unfettered access. They can take real-world actions on our behalf.
If they hallucinate a command, the consequences are real. 2-sec silence. How does Amazon AWS fit into this chaotic landscape? They're financially backing both OpenAI and Anthropic simultaneously. What's their underlying strategy in this messy ecosystem?
AWS publicly says this platform conflict is totally normal. They argue that a multi-model strategy is actually a massive benefit. It helps users choose the absolute best AI for each specific task.
AWS lets you pick the perfect tool for every unique job. Sponsor. Mid-roll sponsor break. Let's shift our focus over to the open source world now. Meta is aggressively building closed-source moats right now. They're trying to own the consumer personal assistant market entirely.
But the open source community is absolutely striking back. While closed labs build walled gardens, open source developers build marathon runners.
A group called ZAI just released something genuinely massive. It's a brand new open source model called GLM 5.1.
People are already calling it the new open source code king.
Traditionally, AI models are essentially just really fast sprinters. They give a really great, quick answer to a single prompt.
But long, sustained tasks are a massive problem for them.
Ooh, I have to admit something here. I still wrestle with prompt drift myself.
Yeah.
If I'm working on a coding task that takes more than 10 minutes, the back and forth usually gets incredibly messy.
Yeah.
The models usually just lose the original context entirely.
That's the exact limitation that GLM 5.1 officially solves. It's specifically designed for long, autonomous coding sessions.
It can run continuously for up to 8 hours straight.
Let's look closely at the benchmark scores. It scored an impressive 58.4 on SWE-Bench Pro.
Let's make sure we define that metric for everyone. It's a rigorous test measuring how AI fixes software bugs.
Yeah, and that specific score is incredibly significant. It moves significantly ahead of recent proprietary models.
It consistently beats the latest models from OpenAI. It beats Anthropic's leading models, too.
It just keeps working tirelessly on complex engineering problems.
Yeah.
It genuinely doesn't lose its direction over time.
The fundamental key here is a process called continuous optimization.
It can actually write and run its own software tests. It identifies complex software issues entirely autonomously.
It constantly refines the underlying solution through many automated tool calls. It actually keeps a persistent memory of its earlier decisions.
It systematically adjusts its broader strategy after encountering failed attempts. It's mimicking how a human engineer actually solves problems. I watched the large project build demo they released yesterday. It created a completely functional Linux desktop web app.
Wow.
It built a working terminal from scratch. It built simple, playable video games natively, all within a single, continuous, uninterrupted workflow. Whoa. Imagine scaling to 1 billion queries. It's completely mind-blowing to think about.
It's also proving to be highly efficient under the hood. We saw the recent kernel bench level 3 workloads. It achieved a massive 3.6x GPU speedup.
It's optimizing the core hardware logic as it writes code. It's honestly as efficient as it is capable.
It also possesses amazing creative flexibility. It isn't just relying on cold, raw logic.
It took second place overall in the global design arena. It performed nearly as well as Claude Opus 4.6 in creative tasks.
GLM 5.1 is essentially a massive warning shot across the bow. It's aimed directly at every closed-source lab operating today.
If an open source model seamlessly handles 8-hour workflows, if it consistently tops the SWE-Bench Pro leaderboard.
The traditional moat around proprietary coding models is officially drying up. Beat. But I really have to push back on this narrative too. If the technological moat is drying up around the models themselves, doesn't the moat just shift entirely somewhere else?
Right.
Doesn't it shift to whoever has the massive compute required to run these intensive 8-hour sessions at scale?
That's the harsh economic reality of this space right now. The models themselves are rapidly becoming democratized.
But the sheer compute required to run them is astronomical.
The real power is just shifting directly to the hardware owners.
What does continuous optimization actually look like in practice for these models?
It means the AI constantly evaluates its own work. It learns from its mistakes mid-task and tries new approaches automatically.
It basically fixes its own errors while it's still working.
Right, and it never gets tired or frustrated.
Let's take a look at the emerging microtrends now. GLM 5.1 clearly proves AI is mastering deep logic over long time horizons.
That advanced capability is rapidly trickling down everywhere else. It's fundamentally altering physical hardware development.
It's hitting highly specific daily tools you use on your computer.
The robotics sector is seeing absolutely huge financial investments. Look at what's happening with D-Robotics over in China.
They recently secured an additional $150 million in funding.
That massive influx raises their total funding substantially. They're sitting at $270 million in total capital now.
This deeply strengthens their leadership role in AI robotics. Prominent venture investors are backing their hardware integration heavily.
Video generation capabilities are also shifting incredibly fast right now. A surprise generative model just dropped out of nowhere. It's bizarrely called HappyHorse 1.0.
It abruptly took the #1 overall spot. It's currently leading the artificial analysis video generation rankings.
It even managed to beat the highly anticipated Cadence 2.0 model. A full developer reveal is supposedly coming very soon.
Then we have these incredibly powerful daily empowered tools. A new project called CareerOps is incredibly interesting to explore.
It essentially turns Claude code into an open-source automation pipeline. It's a fully autonomous AI job search pipeline.
The early stats on it are honestly quite impressive. It has successfully passed 631 technical evaluations.
It autonomously sent out 68 job applications already. It currently has over 9,000 GitHub stars from developers. It's literally hunting for jobs while you sleep.
Velo is another amazing, highly specific daily tool. It takes your messy, raw screen recordings.
It magically turns them into incredibly watch-worthy videos. You get ready to share instructional videos powered entirely by AI editing.
You can easily share anything as polished video messages. A tool called Flint is doing something very similar for web design.
It helps marketing teams scale their landing pages effortlessly. You can launch beautifully on-brand pages instantly.
You can spin them up for every single campaign or ad prospect. It removes the entire bottleneck of front-end development.
We also have emerging tools designed specifically for maintaining focus. Google Chrome recently introduced vertical tabs.
It neatly organizes your open tabs side by side on your screen. It makes complex multitasking much easier to handle visually.
It actively promotes deep focus and sustained productivity. A utility called Lookaway is another really great one.
It's a highly intelligent, context-aware, smart break reminder. It actively helps reduce your daily eye strain.
It significantly reduces overall screen fatigue during long work sessions. And your breaks never interrupt you randomly while you're typing.
I really want you to think about how this connects to you. Your daily professional life is changing at breakneck speed.
These disparate digital tools stack together beautifully. This modern stack essentially turns a single person into an agency.
You become a full-scale, creative, and operational agency overnight.
You essentially have a tireless robotic coder. You have a professional video editor working for free.
You have an expert web designer on call. All of them are running simultaneously in the background. 2-sec silence. Okay, I have to ask about these bizarre naming conventions. Why are breakthrough models called silly things like HappyHorse 1.0.
It's basically researchers making a loud counterculture statement. They really want to reject that boring corporate tech branding and open source.
Silly names just reject boring corporate tech labels in open source.
Yeah, it definitely keeps that rebellious open source spirit alive.
Let's briefly recap the really big idea from today's deep dive. The era of the simple, single-turn chatbot is completely over.
We're rapidly entering an age of parallel agent coordination. We're seeing real long-horizon autonomy becoming the new standard.
Meta is aggressively closing its doors to the open community. They're frantically building the ultimate consumer personal assistant.
Muse Spark is definitely their critical big kid table moment. But the broader open source world is fighting back incredibly hard.
Massive models like GLM 5.1 are changing the underlying math of development. They're rapidly democratizing complex software engineering itself.
We really covered a lot of important ground today. From orchestration layers to 8-hour autonomous AI sessions.
From thousands of critical system vulnerabilities to fully autonomous job hunters.
The technological landscape is shifting constantly under our feet. It's messy, it's chaotic, and it's moving incredibly fast.
I want to leave you with one final thought today. We started by talking about an AI that pauses to actually think. An AI that works autonomously for 8 hours straight without fatigue. Beat deep. If an open source AI can continuously test and refine its own code,
Right.
if it can do this for 8 hours without losing focus, what does the human's role in the loop look like tomorrow? Are we eventually becoming mere supervisors of abundant digital labor?
Hey.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Ayutiro Music.